different cadres. All right. And number 2 is to serve as a platform for learning, capacity development, knowledge acquisition, and experience sharing. And that's what we are here to do. So please feel free when the time comes to share your experience. All right. Don't keep it to yourself. We are an association of unashamed learners. All right. So please feel free to impact us. Now we have some amazing announcements to make just before we get right into the session. We have our 9th annual conference 2026 coming up. Guess what? You don't want to miss this. That of last year was fantabulous. All right. It was amazing. And the theme for this year's annual conference is Beyond Strategy, Activating Human Capital, Sustainable Growth and Performance. The date is scheduled for November 19th to 20th, all right, which is virtual learning sessions. And of course, the gala night is my favorite, all right. The gala and award night, all right. You see everybody looking all good, all glamorous, guys in suits, ladies in gowns, and everybody's just looking really, really super cool. Now, for the tickets, we have it in different grades. So there is definitely a package for you. You can go for the gold tickets, but remember, just a chicken change of 60,000 naira, not much. All right, something little for you to invest, in your professional life. And for non-members, we have 80,000 naira. We also have the diamond tickets, which gives you full access, gold tickets plus physical gala night. All right, this is open to members, non-members, and of course, undergraduates. Undergraduates, we also subsidize it because we want you to be involved as well in this association. So please feel free. And of course, for those of us who are, very experienced HR leaders, please even sponsor for your mentees who are undergraduates. All right, invest in their life through this. And of course, we have corporate group packages. All right, diamond tickets, 5 delegates, we give you a 5% discount. For 10 delegates, we give you 10% discount. And of course, for 15 delegates, we give you 15% discount, which is about 1,275,000 naira. Please, for more information about this, please contact any of the numbers you see displayed on your screen. And you can also send us email. There are 2 email addresses, and also you can reach out to us on our website. Okay. Now to the business of the day. We have a very loaded, amazing, experienced facilitator. Now, if you are not clapping, you're on the wrong side. Okay. If you are not clapping and celebrating our facilitator, I don't know what you're doing. So please give me that digital hand as I introduce our facilitator for today. Our facilitator for today is Olubamike Fadipe, a globally certified human resource expert, trainer, business strategist, and organizational design consultant with over 17 years of experience. So she's not small. All right. She holds a degree, first degree from Obafemi Awolowo University, and master's in managerial psychology from the University of Ibadan, and master's in business administration, MBA HR, also from Obafemi Awolowo University. A senior certified professional of the Society of Human Resource Management, an associate of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, and of course, a member of Nigerian Institute of Training and Development. Olubamike facilitates trainings, retreats, and strategy sessions to drive business reengineering, change management, human capital development, business restructuring, and transformation projects. She has consulted and undertaken multiple projects across different industries. Are you seeing what I'm saying? A faculty member and consultant at 5th year plus consulting, Okay, has planned and executed several business reengineering projects. She's currently the managing consultant at I-Senseville Consult, an HR business consulting firm where she helps organizations to re-engineer their structure, build productive teams, and effective systems and structures. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the honor of a tech enthusiast who is known for deploying tech-powered business solutions. She's passionate about capacity building for organizational leaders, culture, and growth for businesses and brands. Ladies and gentlemen, she loves to read, write, sing, and dance. Please, can we put our digital hands together as we make the floor open to Olubamike? We are so excited to have you. We are so excited to have you. Thank you so much. Please celebrate her as she takes over.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my Ogad. So, thank you very much, John Akinola, my own chapter lead. It's such a delight to be here. Can I share my screen now? Is that fine?
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I must, as I'm sharing my screen, I would just, I want to appreciate the coordinators of the Association of Elite Human Resource Professionals. I must say that I particularly like that name. I like the elite, I like the elite part, and it's such a delight to be in the midst of professionals today. And I like your mission. I like your vision, Anyway, we'll talk after this session. Thank you for the opportunity to be in this room and to rub minds with senior professionals who are in the room today. And every time I have this opportunity to rub minds with human resource professionals, I look forward to it, and it's usually it's a sensitive thing I always like to do, because there's a lot that we still need to do in our sphere, for the world to see. There's a lot of I used to tell some people in my inner circle that there's a lot of brand and marketing communication that HR professionals need to do for us to continue to occupy the space that we're supposed to occupy, so that we can do what we need to do, and so that we can achieve the results that we need to achieve, for the organizations and for that which I believe God has put in our hand to steward. Okay, so I'm going to, let me start my slideshow.
Please, can you put it on full screen? Yeah.
Okay,
so that we can see it
okay, right?
Full screen.
All right. Thank you very much once again. My name is Olubamike Fadipe. You can hear me loud. Can everybody hear me loud and clear, please? If you can hear me loud and clear, please just give me some emojis. Okay, I like emojis anyway. And I love stickers on WhatsApp too. Please don't blame me. Yes, I'm just vain like that. I love it, So we're in this together, and it's going to be a session where we'll be learning, together and sharing thoughts. And I believe that for most of us in this room, what we're going to talk about, you're not hearing it for the first time. So I'm not coming to bring some academic perspective, or, erudite, scholarly. No, that's not what I've come here to do. I just want us to share thoughts, rub minds together, and, see how we can together chart a better course forward as we move on in our profession as people managers. Okay. And I'll start by sharing this thought, before you start wondering what has green truck, what does it have to do with HR? Okay, so come with me on this journey. This green truck is a story about how I grew up. This green truck you're seeing, well, not this tush, is my father's green truck. And that story of the green truck I'm going to be sharing with us as we start this session, because that truck has been the most instructive part of my life, and also has been a reminder of an assignment, in leadership in life. And I'll share what the truck is about. Sometimes in the late 80s, my parents moved from one town in Ogun State to another. I won't call it a city. So moved from one town to another town in Ogun State because, they didn't want their only daughter to go to a boarding school. And so I had to move. We had to shift base, and, we all moved to the town. And then we moved to this estate that just seems so serene. Everything is just calm, a lot calmer than where we're coming from. And my first day of resuming school, this particular green truck that I'm talking about, I never liked the truck. I wasn't proud of it because I felt, why now? My father should be using like maybe Benz, it used to be Benz 190 in those days. Where are the OGs? I'm sure the OGs can relate, when in those days, if you have Benz 190, hey, you're the real G. And then it was this truck, they called it pickup. And then we'll sit in front of the car with my dad. My dad, boisterous man, wonderful man, I must say. He will start gisting with us, on our way. And this particular first day in school, first day of me going to a secondary school, and then we're just going, and my father kept looking around. We saw a lot of children walking to school, saw a lot of children at the bus stop trying to take transportation. We went, I didn't even see anything. I didn't feel anyhow. The second day, the first child we saw on the road, my father parked. He parked his car, engaged the boy, started asking him questions. What's your name? What's the name of your school? Where's your house in this estate? What do your parents do? What's the name of your school? And he ended with, are you willing to hop on the ride with me? I'll drop you by your school. And he did that for every child we met on the way. I was like, oh God. I didn't, I started feeling very uncomfortable. For God knows what reason I was feeling uncomfortable. When I think back and I look at that experience, I wonder, I imagine a lot of teenagers would have felt that way, I mean, I have two girls too who would have felt that way. But, my father was doing a great thing I was supposed to be proud of, but I was unnecessarily just uncomfortable with the whole thing. And guess what? That truck became the community bus. Till I left school, and after I left school, my younger brothers, all their friends, before you knew what was happening, everybody started calling their friends. Come and join this man's truck, green truck. There's a green truck. We drop you in front of your school. And it became a thing until we all, graduated from the secondary school and we all moved away. And, it started making sense when the first time my parents needed to do a thing somewhere and they saw one of the boys, that used to hop on the truck, and the guy just helped them sort the thing. And then another one in another town, in another city, in another country, and another continent. And every time I sit down to think of that experience that has shaped me, I see leadership in it. And I saw the ownership and the stewardship. The same vehicle that I wasn't so proud of, the same vehicle that I was ashamed of, became the same thing that made so huge impact in the lives of many. At a point in time, we must have been over 20, that green truck had the capacity for. And guess what? In retrospect, it occurred to me that if the vehicle were smaller, if it was a sedan like 190, it wouldn't have been able to do the magic that green truck did. And I realized that every situation we find ourselves, there's always a purpose for it. It's possible you are in an organization that you're not so proud of. It's possible you find yourself, I'm just here to while away time. Oh no, this is not really the kind of place, the kind of organization I would love to work in. But while you are there, the vehicle may not be so fantastic. But guess what? What is more important are these three things: the leadership, the ownership, and the stewardship that you put into whatever vehicle you have and what you do with it. And I believe that that is the assignment that we have as human resource professionals. And so we can go into today's class. All right, I always like to lay this out, like the different aspects of our profession as HR professionals, where we can see HR as a role. We can see it as a process. I mean, some of us, we have different designations. Oh, chief people officer, chief culture officer, different names. In fact, in recent times, it's becoming more and more very exciting, and I love it. I love that change. It's actually very dynamic, and it's good. It's interesting also. So we have different roles, whatever name your designation is, and it's okay. It's part of the puzzle that is supposed to make up who we are as HR professionals. And then we have it as a process, how we need to do things, as strategic HR. This is how, we're supposed to position ourselves. This is what we're supposed to do. And then we have it as a concept for all you care. It has to be a concept for people, for the world, for the marketplace to be able to receive it and embrace it and begin to run with it. And also as a job that we all beat our chest and we're proudly, not some of us are not just certified because we want to do it. We're not just in HR because we want to do HR. We're in HR because we love the job. We love what we do and it gives us joy. And I won't believe that's the same for everybody in this room tonight. And also the two other layers that I particularly want to lay emphasis on is the lifestyle, HR as a lifestyle and HR as experience. What is the lifestyle that we live? Some of us are not able to compartmentalize our everyday living, with the work. Everything has become blurry. But I must say that it's actually a positive thing when the values we uphold, in our 9 to 5 or whatever we do, we also exude that same value in other aspects, in other spheres of life. It's very, very key and it's important. And also there is the experience part, which is not just the last for fun. It is the last because it is very key and it becomes imperative for us as strategic HR professionals to be able to create positive experiences in the workplace. Experiences that years down the line, when people remember our names, when people remember, the kind of environment we created around them, the things we're able to do for them, what will they say? What story will they write about us? And I really want us to do this, just a few minutes reflection. And don't think about what you think you're doing. Just think about it. In all the places you've worked, if you count 5 people on your fingers and somebody randomly just calls them to ask, oh, what do you have to say about this person? What will they have to say about you? That's really the experience we're creating. Sometimes we want to justify it. Oh, those people, we have a lot of excuses and it's okay, right? But what is important is that as we climb on this strategic HR ladder, it is important that we're able to write an experience that can form a legacy for us. Because I believe and I expect that anybody who is on the ladder of strategic HR, your chronology is moving towards, upward ladder of life. And as you move towards that upward ladder of life, what you need to begin to think of is not just HR as a job or HR as a role or as some functions you do. It's the experience that you are creating for the world and the impact that you're making for the people that you are being called to. And let me quickly just say this. Why are we talking about strategic talent management? Why does it matter? Why should we be bothered about it? Because even the word strategies just seems like, we're adding complication to the concept already, Anything that is strategy like this is like everything just feels serious and it begins to look like, oh, we are, adding some layers of seriousness to the whole thing. However, the world we're in, the space we're in, the environment we're in, the workplace is not getting easier, is not getting lighter. The economic landscape is changing. Markets are shifting. People, even the people management keeps being disrupted. What we used to know keeps changing every day. And we can't even talk about processes too. Processes too keeps changing. The processes that we thought we had mastered, we got it right, suddenly have to change because there are new trends in technology, new trends in automations, and all these factors, they are stressors on their own. And they are stressors to organizations. And when they land on organizations, they don't just land in this space, they land on the HR table. They land on our tables. We are the ones that are supposed to clear up the mess. We're the ones that are responsible for how things play out and how things pan out eventually. And so it becomes imperative that HR professionals who knows their worth, they must be intentional about attracting, developing, and engaging and retaining high-performing talent. It's no longer business as usual. It's no longer something you can do as optional or, oh no, we can do it. We'll figure it out along the line. And it's not even something that you can Google out. You can't Google your way into it. It's a reality that you can't even even if you are certified for it, you still need a community to keep learning. You still need opportunities to keep practicing so that as you practice, you learn. As you learn, you make the many mistakes you need to make and you learn on the job and you keep moving on. Because whether we like it or not, the changing workforce on its own is a lot, when you think of, a lot of factors from hybrid to everybody's now going back because we're all tired of remote work. Some of us are really tired, okay? While some, still feel, oh, they should be there. But, it comes with a lot of baggage. Out of this are a lot, for organizations to begin to unpack and be able to align everything and synchronize everything such that the organization can still achieve its unique or desirable outcome. Right. So look at this. The business strategy is encompassing all of this, okay? The personnel, how do we keep managing? How do we keep, getting the best of the people that we need to achieve the results that we desire? There is also the culture part and there is the structure part. These three pillars, these three strong elements we cannot throw away. These are the strong elements that every HR professional must master, must be able to navigate. Of course, challenges will come at different times with different areas and different aspects. But these three fundamentals, we must understand it and we must be able to interpret, the requirements of such. Now, so when we want to talk about the strategy layers, we'll start with the business strategy. Of course, every business has a strategy. I expect, and I believe so, that every business, you have what you want to achieve, you have how you want to achieve it, and you have laid down models, business models, on how you want to execute, who is responsible for what, how should what be done, and, you're breaking it also down into the tactical. There must also be people strategy that will drive that same business strategy. Because any business strategy will just remain on paper. It will remain a documented piece if there is no people strategy that is, that is integrated into it, that is infused into it to help the organization to achieve its desired goals. And we don't leave this people strategy. If we just write it down, oh, our EVP has seen a lot of, people strategy. When I see the document, I see a lot of English. I see so much written and documented, and I can't see it in real life. I can't see what has been documented, I can't see when I look at the people, I can't put it beside each other. And I think that's one of the things that we as HR professionals need to begin to do, we should re-engineer it. We should work from, we should do reverse engineering. We shouldn't walk to the answer. Okay, instead of writing first, and then you want to go to the table to start, now bringing on the people to form what you have written down. Why not look at the people you have, look at the gaps, and then identify, okay, what gaps can we fill in the immediate? What gaps are long-term? What gaps are short-term? What gaps are medium-term? And based on that okay, we can do, then you can write, you can come up with a strategy that helps to bridge those gaps that are identified. And what is more important and technical is that whatever strategy that we put together, we must be able to interpret it into operational practice. And that is where the real work is, where we're able to interpret, where we're able to what's the word now? I'm looking for a fine word to use, to diffuse the people strategy that we have documented, the beautiful document where we put it into an everyday thing. We put it into operational practice and we put it into HR practice. This is what will help us to be able to position and to be able to work with the people that we're supposed to attract and at the same time retain. Okay, so I'm looking at time also so that I can move effectively with time. Okay, so when we look at the shift from the regular human resource, to people management, because that's what we are for many years. Personnel, I mean, many of us know the story already, and we're moving. As we're moving, these are the three elements that I believe that when organizations focus on, it helps to have immediate results. Where you are looking at the people part and you're beginning to integrate, you look at the life cycle of the business, you look at the landscape, you look at the revenue, the revenue potential. And then you can align the people goals with this that you understand. And that also means that HR professionals, the strategic HR professional must have business acumen. You must understand what the business is. I know that in this, I believe and I know that most HR professionals have come into that space of being business partners. We have left personnel. I believe so. And I would expect that as we begin to synthesize the understanding we have, then we are able to break it down into the qualitative, the quantitative. You also look at the current capabilities of the team that you have. And then you can see, okay, for us to be future ready, what do we need to do? Who do we need to become as a people, as a team? And then we begin to work towards that. Also, you look at the process. How do we synthesize? How do we integrate, infuse our processes with technology? How do we make our teams to be tech savvy without putting so much burden on them? How do we make them to be, open to technology without it looking like, oh, they want to sell us or they want all of us to go home, How do we integrate that? The thinking that goes into all of this is actually what makes HR to be strategic, when you're able to come up with solutions, easy wins, for the team, for the organization, and for all stakeholders at large. Also, you want to look at the performance, you want to measure the ability. What ability do we have as individuals? Of course, with appraisals, but appraisal is just a minor part of it. Beyond appraisal, what abilities do the individual staff and the teams have? Then the motivation, the environment that is in the organization. How is it helping people to achieve what they need to achieve? How is it helping people to be who they need to be? How is it helping them to do what they need to do for them to have the result that they need to have? And what opportunities are available? Because sometimes we expect people to just work and we don't create the opportunities for them to perform. We don't create opportunities for them to actually grow, and be stronger. Yet, I've seen a lot, I consult for quite a number of organizations, and I see a lot when I hear leaders. When you see the whole scenario, you can see ability, you see great potential, but you're not seeing opportunity. And you see, for motivation, you see a lot of talks, but there's no environment that is helping everything to work together. And when this is missing from the puzzle, it makes it difficult for strategy to even land. It makes it difficult for anybody to achieve anything, as HR professional. And so the roadmap is for us to look at this, the talent strategy, the talent and performance, and of course, succession, which is the core. This is where we see the success of what strategic really means. It is when we begin to see, okay, what is happening. Of course, this is where retention lies. And we're looking at how do we sustain our stakeholders. Excuse me, please. So the first phase, which is aligning our strategy as an organization, as organizations, and talent. Excuse me, please. Sorry about that. Sorry for the short breaks. I'm back. All right. So the first phase is, how do we align, and the first assignment, how do we align our strategy with our talent management, with the people that we have been called to serve? How do we make sure that there is a sync? How do we make sure that all this works together? Of course, workforce planning. That's the first aspect. Is the first. In fact, this is a skill that every strategic HR professional must master. And it's not by making an erudite, article out of workforce planning. It is a practical, data-driven exercise where you look at the supply side of, the human resource that you have and the demand side. And then you forecast into what the organization is aspiring to do in the future. Where do they need to be? There's something I always do for my clients where we have two levels of organograms. It's not just one. We don't make one type of organogram. We make one that captures the scenarios as it is, the different roles. And then we make an aspirational one where the organization wants to be in 5 years. And then by the time we are putting the two organograms beside each other, it helps us to see the gaps. It helps us to see, okay, currently we don't have this department, but in 5 years' time, we will need this department because of the reality of the market. We will need this team. And so we can begin to, merge the two together to see, okay, what do we need to do? Do we start with one staff by year 2 or by year 1? Okay, maybe we should start with one team member first. We bring somebody, like that. And then you're coming up with a practical workforce planning document. Also talent acquisition. How do we recruit? How do we fill critical position? Then competency management, from assessing, from the point of identifying people who are really competent, that has, the capabilities to drive the organization's future performance. And of course, talent and business alignment. How do we ensure that everybody coming in, they can integrate readily into the business model that we currently have? And these are the architecture that, I always recommend readily. The concept of build, buy, or borrow. You can choose any. Build speaks to, we can't afford, this depends on revenue capabilities. We can't afford to recruit, star performers, from other companies, but we can build our own people. We can create a system that helps us to build people, from inward, build capacity, maybe get new rookies, people who are just starting their career, who are also hungry for knowledge, who are hungry to make a result, to make a name for themselves. And then we recruit them and we create a curriculum that will drive these people and build them into the capacity we want. There's also the option of buy, for organizations who have the means. Then you can bring talent from other organizations, bring them in, to come and achieve whatever goal that we need, the gap that we have, or borrow. There are fractional HR professionals. In recent times, many of that space has been disrupted. You can have fractional people offering their professional expertise, without being fully in your face or in your business. That has become a thing, in recent times. So build, buy, borrow is one strategy or approach. One of this, there are 3 of them. Choose your architecture. Choose the one that works for your organization based on the life cycle of the organization, based on your revenue capabilities, and based on what the organization wants to achieve. All right. Think about this. I just wrote this like a founder bottleneck. I know this happens a lot with organizations that are just, coming up, where everything, the decision making, many medium-sized organizations are even still in this space. At least I know a couple of, where decision making is around a few persons. And when they are not there, everything stalls. And this usually puts a lot of pressure on the HR team, or the HR arm of the organization. And oftentimes it stifles, It stifles the result and the outcomes we're supposed to have. But the truth is, we're still the ones to solve the problem. Because if process requires constant intervention and somebody needs to come to the aid at all times, what it means is that we don't have it all figured out already. And it's something to work on. It's also something to work in. Okay, right. The first two is developing, how do we develop this high-performing, future-ready talent that we all see when we close our eyes like this? That's what we want to see in our organization. But when we open it, we're not yet seeing, you're seeing different people doing different things, and you're wondering, when will this thing that I see, when I close my eyes, when will it become, But the truth is, it's a long walk. It's a long walk of building people, creating learning and development plans, be not as an event, but as a system that will produce. In fact, I make recommendations of this a lot. Instead of looking for one-time learning and development, oh, we do this one beautiful training, one big training in 1 year, and then that's supposed to be all because we seem to have spent a lot. How about having learning and development experts on retainers? How about having learning and development experts on a retainer who you can now negotiate on budget and have the learning curriculum already figured out, so that you are creating a system around building your people without breaking an arm and a leg, So there's also the performance management side. There's the employee engagement side, and there's leadership and succession, which becomes important to build managers for the future. That's the only way we can be future ready. All right. Now, how do we move from that to this in terms of performance, moving from activity to impact? Now, it's important to create that culture, that constant culture where it's not we're waiting for performance appraisal by mid-year or by end of a quarter. That's too long. Every day, on the go. The feedback is a fuel for performance. Let every engagement, every staff engagement let it be a form of feedback that is also documented. There are ways to do this, and as it is, you're building people on the go. Every engagement you have with teams, and even with that team leads have with their teams, let it be like an ongoing learning, an ongoing experience where the person that started any given month or any given quarter shouldn't be the same that is ending it. There must have been documented and tangible impact, tangible development that we should see, and there's a way we can adapt. I know it's not all organizations that use balanced scorecard, but it can be adapted, it can be tweaked, it can be adopted, and let's see how it works for our team. It's important. And building this ecosystem of learning beyond the calendar is the most important way, is the best way to build high performers in organization, and not just star performers. I'm very careful about that. Not a one-off, oh, this person, once this person leaves the organization, we go back to zero. And that's a commonplace. We see that a lot when a business and development manager leaves the scene. He goes with all his clientele, and then the team comes back to zero. And sometimes it feels like organizations reinforce these processes of creating star performance. We make one staff. Well, I'm guilty too. I mean, there are times we do that because, we want to encourage this person. This person is doing very well. We want to keep encouraging the person. But at what cost? At whose expense? When instead of us to focus on building everybody as high performers, building star performers who now decide the day they get angry with management or they get angry with their team leads and they decide to leave, and everything just comes crashing. Comes down, crashing. So it's important that we focus on the building multiple and being able to recreate any star performer that we already have. How can we create multiple of, how can we duplicate them and have them in multiples? That should be the headache we have for our teams, across the different value chain that we have in our organization. Instead of focusing on a star performer, let's focus on building the team, future ready team, future ready talent. And remember the buy, build, borrow. If you have a star performer right now, look for a build to work with, to learn under the star performer, so that the person is also learning and is learning how to become a star performer. Okay. And okay, so the last phase, which talks about sustaining the success we have as an organization, that's the talent retention, which in recent time has been a lot. I had a client who in one day, 5 key staff left the organization, and I felt like, oh God, what is this? It felt like the world has collapsed, But I mean, it's the reality. It happens, when for whatever reason team members just feel maybe they are aggrieved about something and is not attended to. Sometimes it's also, I mean, HR has a role to play in this too, where maybe we ignore what needs to be attended to, or we underestimate what could have been de-escalated. It's important that every case is something to look into. There is nothing to sweep under the carpet, and there is nothing to ignore like it doesn't count, especially with regards to, I've heard business leaders say the door is open. And every time I hear that, I cringe, like, for real? The door is open, you can go. No, you're not. No, when I hear that, I'm like, does these people really know? I recruit for organizations. I know what it is to get a talent, to get one. Apart from the financial cost to the organization, the stress. And then when you get the person in, the person still has to learn the ropes. And you still have to give the time for the person to learn before they can begin to give you the level of outcomes that the people or the previous role holders have been giving you. It's a lot. It's a lot. And organizations need to do better. Business leaders need to do better. And we HR professionals too, we need to help our business leaders, our senior execs, we need to be able to manage them in how they manage the talents that we have. Because at the end of the day, their action and inactions can spoil whatever good we're doing. We could have done a great job, and then somebody's comment somewhere just upturns everything, and it brings us to ground zero. Guess what? Who is clearing the mess? It's the HR. Who clears the mess? It's HR. So the earlier we are in the faces of our senior leaders, on what to do, how to do, the earlier we are in their faces, the better for us. And of course, using data-driven insights to help us to be able to, will help us a lot. Workforce analytics, where we can use the historical data and even foresight data, and put all of this together to guide in building talent decisions and talent management decisions. And compensation continues to be one that we must all look into, whether we like it or not. And I hear Pencom too is coming with their own. HR professionals, get ready. It's about to get hotter. Anyway, I know that when it happens, we all handle it, and we'll handle it very well because we're strategic HR people. Okay. So now it's important to also build an organization that is agile, where people adapt readily. Change will always come, whether we accept it or not, whether we're prepared for it or not. Change will come. It will come when we don't expect it. It will come in ways that we don't expect it. But having a team that adapts quickly, change management preparedness, where we're equipping our people to even anticipate change, to know that anything can happen. There are high volatile industries, and such industries, you must know that any change can happen at any point in time. And that must be factored into the learning curriculum, of the team and of the organization at large. and also anticipating shifts as it's happening. For instance, this compensation, I mean, the PENCOM is going to shift our compensation in a significant way. And guess what? It's still going to impact, but it's still going to come on HR and the finance people. It's going to be something we will need to deal with. And the earlier we begin to plan and prepare for it intentionally, the better for us. Now, beyond retention, there is also the architecture of staying power, where we want to have a system that holds everybody, even in tough situations, where the people know you have their back, where high performers, they know they have the ability to they have that ability and capacity to take initiative. They are desirous of making improvements. They're desirous of making things happen beyond your instructions to them, beyond the guidelines that is in the organization. How do we build such motivated, self-motivated individuals? How do we build them? It is a question that every HR professional must be able to answer in the vehicle that you're in. Whether your vehicle is a green vehicle like my father's truck, or it's a blue one that is a fancy one, whatever vehicle you find yourself, how are you creating the staying power, even when there are environmental changes? How do we build that culture, that sense of ownership that people have, and you know that these people are working not just for the money. It's not about the money. It's not about the financial ends. Excuse me. All right, sorry about that. All right, so it's important that beyond what we can give people, they are sold out. Yes, I know that's becoming a very rare currency in recent times, but it's also a thing that we must work at as strategic HR professionals. It's also a thing that we must be intentional in how we build people and in how we build the environment in which they work in. Because I think that the environment that people work in counts a lot in that. When people have psychological safety, when they know that, okay, where I work, they care a lot about me. Where I work, they are invested, they are involved in my well-being, and they're also invested in my career development. These two cardinal points will definitely, on a scale of 1 to 10, will give us a 70, which is fair. And that's the honest truth. There's also the part of, being able to establish the competitive advantage of other stakeholders, where we're not just looking at the environmental, when you talk about the ESG, it's not just the environmental, it's not just financial, but we are creating a human capital ecosystem that must be resilient across, irrespective of what happens, irrespective of the changes that comes, because they definitely will come. We're equipping our people to be strong through it all. We're equipping our people to stay true. We're equipping our people to also stay motivated and committed. And at this junction, I want to say this, and I want to challenge each and every one of us. We all have transactional HR tasks, whether we like it or not. There are those things that we just find ourselves doing it, even when, there are other things that you're supposed to attend to. And I want to just, have us have some minutes of reflection, just about 2 minutes. Let's take about 2 minutes to do this. What is that strategic role? What is that strategic people initiative that I'm going to latch on in the rest of them, in the few months that is left in this year? What's that one task that I'm going to hold on to, or that I'm going to put in place, or that I'm going to push with management to approve, to be able to execute on? I want us to just take a few moments to reflect on that, so that we don't just talk about all these things, we've layered it with a lot of strategy. And at the end of the day, it just sounds like, oh, it's good to hear, It sounds like vibe, but in practical terms, how do we begin to practicalize this? How do we synthesize the erudite concepts, this concept of strategic HR? How do we bring it into an operational part or into our practice as HR professionals? I just want us to take these few minutes to just, whether you want to put in the chat box or you want to put it in your journal, just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it. But what is important is I want to make sure that we all do it. It's a self-challenge, so nobody's coming to mark our script. Okay, but give me an emoji if you've done something, if you've written something down. If you've written something down in your journal, just give me an emoji, please. I want to see it too. I want to see it. I'm not asking for asking sake. I want to see those. I want to see the emojis. Yes, I'm doing like that. Thank you. I'm waiting for it, and I'm serious. I've not seen any. Jesus. Is it that you people are not nice? Thank you, Olarewaju William. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I like the dancing parts. The other one, is only one person on this call. Let's do fast so that we can move on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this. Thank you. Thank you for those who have written, who have documented at least something they are going to do differently. It could be something you've always been planning to do or something that, you just realize the year has passed and you have still not done it, and it's important that you do it. So that's something. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So one last thing that I want to talk about before we end today, which is important, and oftentimes HR gets sidelined when it comes to this, is the multi-stakeholder sustainability. We talk about retaining for succession planning. We talk about retaining our staff, retaining the system, the ecosystem that we already have. But what about other stakeholders? Shareholders, depending on the kind of organization you work in, the community that we find ourselves, what are we doing, to sustain the community, to sustain relationships, build relationships in the community that we have. And what are we doing with governmental relationships? How do we manage? So we're not waiting for them to come for us before we start, before we build relationships. It's better to actually prepare for war in time of peace. Some of the governmental, regulatory bodies that we have, many times it is because we have not, and when issues happen because many times we have not maintained great relationship. Even when things are about to go wrong, maintaining great relationships will help them to alert, will help them to be able to say, oh no, you are not doing, your organization is guilty with regards to this, you need to do something about it. And I believe that this is something we need to integrate into our practice. This is actually the part that makes us really strategic, where we're not just we're not too focused inside, that we're not seeing the other things happening outside, the organization. So it's important. True sustainability emerges when all stakeholder interests are strategically aligned. And as we wrap up tonight, I want to challenge us to build leadership, ownership, and stewardship. Remember the story of my father's green truck. Anyway, just laughing about it, okay? Broker between business needs and the people needs. And it's important that remember, whatever vehicle you find yourself, do an excellent job while at it. Use that vehicle to make great impact, and define employee value proposition, practical one, not the one that we download from ChatGPT. Let's make practical ones that are relatable, that are relevant to our sector, to our people, inside out. Let's begin to look inwards, and create something that will help the organization at large and every individual within our ecosystem. All right. Also, communal and team support, lineman. There's no way. Oftentimes, when I'm consulting for organizations and I see HR as one man mopo, is the one that knows everything, is the one that coordinates everything. And the line managers are just relegated. I'm wondering, it's always strange to me because I believe that line managers are supposed to be empowered to help HR achieve whatever they need to achieve, especially with the business goals. Line managers are actually the ones they're the ones in the faces of these people. They are the direct stakeholders. So our strategic HR is to ensure that there's collaboration, there's communal and team support among the team leads, and line managers, so that everybody will begin to do what they need to do and they're doing it effectively. And also it's important that we execute and we say this and we do it. It's better to always under promise and over deliver with regards to managing talent and managing performance, right? And the global knowledge too. Yes, as many of us, we do a lot of research or what's happening, global best practice. But as we are downloading all the global best practice, please, let's make it a best fit. Let's make sure that it is adaptable. Let's make it global, so that even though it's global, it's globally relevant, it's globally, acceptable, but let's make it locally, let's integrate it locally also, so that what we have won't be, is far from a reality that we desire to have. And let's systemize continuous feedback and adapted cultural values. In conclusion, I believe that much of what we've discussed today is supposed to make us to keep on the journey. From the journey, where we all started from as HR, the historical that many of the forefathers in CIPM always talk about, as we continue to architect a desirable, strategic human resource where we create experiences for people, for organizations, and we create impactful experiences that become like legacy for us. That many years down the line, everybody can say, oh, when so person was here, she made this impact, he did this, he achieved this. And where we begin to use data-driven, we use data to make decisions, data to drive the outlook of organizations, and also to measure impact, measurable, tangible impact that we're having in our organizations and among people, the people initiatives that we come up with. It must be data-driven. And of course, which is very important, a culture of ownership, building an agile, outcome-based and focused and result-focused environment. And always remember that leadership is not a title, it is service. It's the head we use for strategy. Our hearts must be laced with empathy, and our hands must be strong enough to execute on all the laudable initiatives that we have been documenting for the longest time. And above all, I want to challenge us today to be that great leader, that strategic HR professional that we saw in ourselves when we started this profession. Even if we have not gone near achieving it, let's bring ourselves back by asking, what one thing do I need to stop doing? What one thing do I need to start doing? And what one area do I need to improve on? And on this note, I want to say a big thank you to the convener, the committee, the L&D committee, and my moderator. Thank you very much for the opportunity as I wait for questions and answers for tonight. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure here
Amazing.
tonight.
Amazing. Thank you so, so much. Please, can we put our digital hand together for our awesome, super awesome facilitator? Come on, this is AHRP. We can make this better. That's right. I love the love. Please bring it in, bring it in. Amazing. Aha, this is the spirit of AEHRP. Fantastic. Thank you so, so much. Wow. I mean, I was taking note at the point I had to switch to taking screenshots because there's just a whole lot, to take in, Amazing. Thank you so, so much. This was truly a masterclass. Thank you so much. All right, without much ado, we are going to go right into questions, right into the Q&A. Of course, I'm sure a few persons will have questions, right? I think one of the things that really caught my attention that you talked about, I think was towards the beginning, right? Where you talked about the strategic HR as a role, as a process, concepts, as a job, as a lifestyle, and also as an experience. You see, so sometimes our work as human resource professionals sometimes gets overwhelming, right? That we are just wearing so many caps at the same time, right? But there's always one major question, all right? Who looks after HR, right? So my first question will be, what do you recommend to HR to live a balanced life? They are meeting goals, they are being productive, performance is good, but also they are also prioritizing their own well-being. Because many times our focus is on the workforce, on the company, getting this done, and all of that. And many times we don't even put ourselves in the equation, right? When we even organize employee engagement initiatives, we just want everybody else to be satisfied, to feel fulfilled, other than ourselves, right? So how do we find the balance to this? Yes, that will be my first question.
All right. Fantastic question, I must say. And I would say that the answer is in our assignment as HR. But many times, including my very self, we're all guilty of it. We underestimate it and we overlook it. Our job as HR people is to bring people together, right? We bring people together, we coordinate, we make sure people have, we create the strategy, give them direction, make sure that everything is working as it should. But the truth is, we neglect such when it comes to ourselves, building communities. We underestimate the power of communities. And many of us, we got the memo late. I mean, and I'm admitting to this, but the truth is, the pressure can be a lot. So the only way to keep our head high is to belong to communities for accountability, where you've had a great day or you are even having a challenge, but you have somewhere where you can upload and somebody can say, oh, I've seen this before, I've done this before, this is the way you can do it. They can even share templates with you. That's the kind of community where it's not just work focused, but there is also a level of support that you can get in terms of work focused. I know that a number of religious institutions have done something similar to that. I've seen quite a number, and my church has communities like that where professionals, you commune together. And I must say, I belong to a couple of it, and it has helped me, So I want to suggest that every human resource professional have a community. Every generation should have a community that they belong to, where you can hold yourself accountable, where you can draw strength on days that things are really, 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 upside down. So I believe community is the answer to this question, that who do we look out for? That's one part. The second part of the question is that for any HR professional to be relevant, for you to make impact in any organization that you find yourself, you must have a leader, an executive who believes in you. I'm not saying you should do eye service. I'm not saying, do untold things to gain attention. But I'm telling you that for you to be relevant, for you to be able to speak to power, it is important that you have access to the same power that you want to speak to. So on two sides, on one side, build a community. On the other side, build yourself to the point where you can speak to power, where the day you have a challenge, you have someone that is in the top management that you can talk to, and you can rub minds with and even get advice, from, or you can share honest views. Sir, I'm really disappointed. I feel hurt. I feel sad about how things turned out. I mean, I've had a young professional who needed to have a conversation with our boss, and she was asking me how should she start. And we came up with a script. You say it like this, you say this. And I mean, so it's one way that as young professional, you must be able to navigate with management and leadership, and at the same time belong to a community where you can draw strength from. Yeah, I believe.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And of course, for this exact reason is why we exist as AEHRP, all right? And that's why we always tell our members, all right, don't hide, be active. We have our platform, we have over 1,000 professionals on our group chats, right? Find yourself immersed in this community when you have challenges, when you need counsel, when you need support, when you need ideas, all right? Just speak up. Someone will definitely reach out to you, whether on the group chat, whether directly to your DM. That's what makes us exceptional. Now we have another question quickly in the chat. Someone is asking, how do we introduce succession planning when there is resistance from the board of directors?
Okay. There will be resistance now if you have not gotten a buy-in to them as individually, and you come in front of all of them to come and speak English. They will never buy into it. Never. It will never happen. See, I tell HR professionals, the people, we underestimate the power of, and some of us see it as lobbying. We see it as no, it's being smart. You want to introduce something to a board and they are hearing it for the first time during a meeting. You're already wrong. It's foul. They will not accept it. If you want to introduce something to the board of directors, if you have access, even if you don't have access to each and every one of them, there must be somebody that has their ears. There must be somebody that has access, that if you take it through that person knows how to land it with them or how to present it to them, and you must or identify that person. In fact, when you get to this level, that's the first task you must do. That's the first assignment. You must identify who is that person, who is the gatekeeper. And when you identify the gatekeeper, you don't just introduce succession planning as, we need to do this. No, it's a question, engaging. Sir, what if our staff performer leaves today? What if asking questions like that? What if this happens? What if this happens? What do you think, sir? And if it's a smart leader, is going to ask you the same question. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? And then that becomes an opportunity. So conversation like this is not a formal, it's something you start informally, and then you begin to work on their minds, till you can connect with them to the level where they can listen to your ideas or whatever you are proposing to them. I believe this will help a lot. I hope we find that helpful.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kennedy is saying yes. Thank you. This is understood. Thank you very much. Now, another question. Please, if you have questions, also drop it in the chat so that we can have it in a coordinated form. So we have a question from Judge Esther. I believe it's a lady. She's asking a question. As a 400 level undergraduate studying human resource management and also pursuing the CIPM qualification, how can someone like me gain practical HR experience while still in school? What would you recommend I do to develop practical HR skills and become industry ready before graduation?
My, oh my. What's the name? Please, what's the person's name? I envy you.
Judge Esther.
Judge Esther, I envy you. That you're in 400 level, you've not even graduated, and you are in this class, you are in this room. You are so lucky, and I hope you realize it. Okay. So right now, I expect that you are on term break, right? Semester break. look for an organization to volunteer with. As in, just volunteer. Identify an organization that you can volunteer. Tell them for free. I mean, they don't have to pay you, but you want to volunteer because you want to learn. Most organizations may be open to that, depending on their policy. But by the time you try 10, at least one will sail through. So it should be a goal that you are looking for an holiday job. Of course, you will know the number of months you'll be at home for, or wherever the location you are, so that you can identify what kind of organization can you work in, what sector, what are the opportunities around you. Look around you, you'll find. So the goal, the only way you can gain practical HR experience while still in school is by volunteering. Volunteering with an HR team, volunteering in an organization and getting an holiday job. And if you have uncles, who work in places, press all the buttons you can. I'm sure you definitely will get one. And if you are in a community already where there are HR professionals, press their necks, all of them, press all of their necks till they get you something. All right. All the best, Georgesta.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have any other question? Any other question? Yes. Judge Esther, connect, volunteer. There are free, unpaid, and paid internship opportunities. Be active in the right places as well, right? Such opportunities, you are not likely to get them on platforms like Snapchat and TikTok. But when you are available on places like LinkedIn, which is more professional, you are likely to get such opportunities there. Amazing. All right. Any other question? Please, if you have questions, you can also signify with the raise of your digital hand, and we can also allow you to unmute and speak. Also, please be informed that there is a certificate for this session. Of course, you can't get it right now, but you can, request for it within 48 hours. Okay, there's a certificate that has been designed for this, right? And particularly for those of us who have, certificates with HRCI, this certificate helps you to be able to, do your recertification, get points, right? So please take advantage of this, and it's at a very subsidized rates. Trust me, take full advantage of this and get your certificate. All right, are there more questions before we begin to wind down on questions or any contribution on what has been discussed today? All right, looks like we are all good. That means our facilitator has broken the table completely. This table is not standing again. We have dismantled this table. Amazing. Thank you so much. We are super glad and excited to have you. Please, can we give her a wonderful digital round of applause again as she begins to bow out? Please, let's celebrate her. It's been an amazing 1 hour plus session, dishing out, presenting, answering questions, right? Sharing life experiences. We can't thank you enough, right? We can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you
We are
very
grateful.
much.
We are grateful, and we hope that when next, AHRP reaches out to you, you will be willing and ready, to connect with us. And of course, please feel free to connect with her on LinkedIn as well. Our facilitator is Olubamike Fadipe on LinkedIn. Please feel free to connect. All right. And of course, if your company is in need of some of our areas of specialization, strategy sessions, strategy retreats, trainings, and the like, please feel free to connect with her. She's your go-to plug. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
very much. God bless you.
Yes. Thank you very much. All right. So thank you. Just a few more announcements and we call it an evening.